we're live.
Yay.
Okay, it's working. Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Yeah? Yeah, good. Um, Hello to everyone who's joining us today. This is the second episode in my live series, Dog Training Won't Solve Your Problem If. And this is a series of discussions that kind of look at um, just beyond dog training, what dogs might need. And why training alone might not always be enough.
Mhm.
So, these conversations for me ask us to see dogs in their wholeness and to imagine relationships with dogs based on reciprocity with their human kin, in order to kind of like challenge the top down power over implications of the dog trainer paradigm. So today I'm very excited. I'm joined by Dr. Nancy Kay from Speaking for Spot. And Dr. Nancy Kay is an outspoken advocate against puppy mills. So, in this episode, what we're going to look at is the lasting impacts that puppy mills and commercial breeding systems have on dogs. And, if a dog's earliest experiences are that of neglect and deprivation, um, what does that mean for what they need growing up, and why might standard dog training or obedience classes not necessarily fit with what they need. So through this lens of trauma informed care and advocacy, this conversation is going to be an exploration in resilience, trust, and what it means to speak for dogs who haven't always had a voice.
Yes. Great. I love the
Cool.
topic.
Okay, great. Me too.
Yeah, I think it's a very creative and beneficial topic to cover. So, I've been a veterinarian now for over 40 years, and I have seen a lot of adult dogs and puppies coming out of puppy mills. Um, and there's problems with both the adults, the breeding dogs that are rescued from puppy mills. And there are clear problems with the puppies adopted out of puppy mills at 8 weeks
Yeah.
of age. And Megan, you know very well that what happens in a dog's life between birth and 12 weeks of age is uber important in terms of their socialization into the world. And so we talk about a little bit about puppy mills so that we can be sure your audience understands.
Yeah, I would love
Okay.
to, because I think it comes, when it invokes something in the imagination, right? When you say puppy mill. And I'm
Right.
sure it's maybe like a general sense of what that means. But I think, yeah, just so we're all on the same page and we know what's actually
Sure.
going on there, I think that
Okay.
would be really useful. Thank you.
And I can't guarantee that puppy mills are the same in Britain as they are here. I've only been in some here in the United States. And what puppy mills are large scale commercial breeding facilities. Many of them have hundreds of dogs in one facility, in a barn, in a garage. And the dogs spend their entire lives, the breeding dogs spend their entire lives in a cage or a small enclosure, often standing on wire flooring, um, very little in the way of um, giving them something to do in terms
Mm,
of
mm,
enhancing their lives. So there's no blankets, no toys, no chew toys. Um, and veterinary care is lacking for the most part.
sure.
I liken puppy mills to factory farming.
Mm,
The same way factory farming of you have factory farming of chickens and cows and pigs. This is factory farming of dogs.
yeah.
So yeah, and so there were a couple of beautiful studies done several years ago by a Dr. Frank McMillan, who's a veterinarian,
Mm,
and he studied says 1,200 adult dogs that were adopted out of puppy mills when their
okay.
breeding lives were over.
Right.
He found that compared to dogs that were adopted as adults from other situations, the puppy mill dogs had a much higher level of fear
Mm,
and aggression towards people in the household and strangers. Uh, more compulsive behaviors, more difficult to house train. And then he also conducted a study on puppies purchased from pet stores.
Okay.
95% of the puppies sold in pet stores come from puppy mills, at least here in the United States. I'm not sure if that's true in Great Britain. And what he found in these 413 puppies comparing to puppies purchased from other sources, they had a lot more fear, a lot more
Mm,
anxiety, uh, learning much slower to learn, uh,
yeah.
separation anxiety. And why would that be? Well, dogs in puppy mills don't get much in the way of human interaction. Some of
Mm,
these dogs are fed by automatic feeders and automatic waterers, and their urine and excrement drop through the wire cage. So people aren't interacting with them. And if they are interacting with them, rarely is it on in a positive fashion. So it makes sense that they're not well
yeah.
socialized.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And the stress level in these breeding dogs is huge. It's very high. And that those stress hormones pass right through the placenta into the puppy. So the puppy is literally swimming in a milieu of stress hormones, increased stress hormones, and same through the mother's milk. So, yeah, the puppies are born into stress and they learn stress from the mama dog. They learn so much from the mama dog.
Yeah. I
And so it's no wonder they come out uh, as psychologically troubled dogs, and we haven't even gotten into the physical maladies.
Of
Oh, and
course.
one other thing too I might mention is puppy mill dogs are not bred based on their temperament. They're bred based on how many puppies they can produce. So, if you're breeding for if a responsible breeder is breeding a dog, she's making sure to breed a male to a female, both of which have very good temperaments.
Mm,
Puppy mills, that's not at all the situation.
wow. Wow. Thank you for that description.
Sure.
That's I'm really feeling that in my body. Like, I
Yes.
mean, I did have an understanding that they're like, very unethical and like inhumane conditions, but just kind of having it laid all out like that is just
Yes.
it's a lot. And I think I didn't
Yes.
even think about the kind of intergenerational trauma that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
describing, right? That these puppies are inheriting because they're born from dogs that are in such distress, and then they're also, in the short time that they have
Correct.
with their parent, right? That they're
And the
also,
breeding yes, the breeding
mm,
dogs are often progeny of other breeding dogs.
of course. Yeah.
So these are dogs that may never go outside. They may never be in fresh air. Um,
Yeah.
and then the puppies too, once they leave the puppy mill at 8 weeks of age, they're often shipped across the country in an
Sure.
airplane or in vans that transport to pet stores. And pet store situations are also extremely stressful.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole supply chain is traumatizing at every point.
Correct.
I work with a lot of rescue dogs um, who have been. I'm in London, for those of you who don't know, in England, and been a huge swell of dogs that have been rescued from Eastern Europe, and that they're like taken in these like intense shuttles, and like that experience alone, whatever happened to them in their early years, is like that
Oh my
transportation.
gosh, yeah.
Oh, traumatizing because they don't know what's going on. They don't know where they're
Right.
going. You know. Um. Yeah. Just horrible. So
And many
I
of
guess
them are they're raised on the street, right?
yeah,
And so talk about stressful situations.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we're in different contexts. You're in the States and I'm in the UK.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess I'm just like, I'm hearing you describe that and I'm like, how is that legal? Like, how is that happening?
People often ask when I describe puppy mills, how can that be legal? Um, Dogs are considered property, just like livestock. And the government agency that looks over puppy mills is the same government agency that looks over factory farms, cows, pigs,
Right.
chickens, turkeys.
Mm.
So the rules apply in a very similar fashion.
Yeah.
It's called the United States Department of Agriculture.
Of course, right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, that's I guess, like, when we hear that 'cause, I do eat meat, I'm a meat
Uh,
eater. Try and eat ethical meats when I can, and I don't eat loads of it, but, um, I guess when I hear about this situation that you've described for puppies or dogs who are, like, live alongside us as, like, members of our family, I'm, like, outraged, and then it's like,
yes.
"Oh, of course that's how of course that's legal because that's how non-human animals are treated in these systems by these governments."
Right. Right. And there's animal welfare is defined technically by 5 freedoms that animals should have.
Okay.
And one of them is to not be in crowded situations, to
Okay.
have room to move about, to be able to express normal behaviors that the species would normally exhibit. And these dogs certainly can't do that.
Yeah.
They never get a chance to do the zoomies.
Oh, oh, no, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it is a thing that exists. It is, like, large scale, um, breeding of puppies, which does mean that there are loads of people, families, homes that are bringing these dogs into their
Yes, they
lives.
are.
So I guess I wonder, like, well, what happens, like, when a dog from a puppy mill, like, goes into a home? Like, is there a different, like, kind of adjustment period? Like, what goes on? I know you probably can't speak to every case ever, but
Yeah.
what you know of that?
Well, people who take in adult dogs rescued from puppy mills, they are heroes in my mind. In fact,
Mm,
in my very last Substack post, I let one of my readers describe what she's going through with her adult dog. Um, i- i- Being unable to pet the dog, touch the dog, have a dog lick her face. The dog is super scared. And after 3 years, um, what her statement was, it's hard to love a dog who doesn't love you back.
oh,
So if you're taking in an adult dog from a puppy mill rescue, you have to have lots of love and lots of patience. A
mm,
lot of just sitting on the floor, not looking at the dog,
no, no,
offering treats.
yeah,
Now, taking in a puppy
mhm,
from a puppy mill that's 8 weeks of age,
mhm,
you may not notice much right away, although many of the pups are far more fearful than normal pups would be. If you
right,
think of a normal 8-week-old puppy, they're like all over you, right?
yeah,
And a puppy mill pup may not be that way because fear is a big um, common denominator in all of these puppy mill dogs. But you may notice that house training is really difficult because
right,
this is a dog that's never been outside before.
right.
And you may take your puppy to puppy kindergarten class. I don't know if that's what you call them in the UK.
I've
Um,
not heard that before, but that's cute.
it's the very first class you would take a puppy to,
Okay, yeah.
obedience or socialization class,
Yeah, okay.
and that may be a puppy that isn't attentive. It's hard to, get them to make eye contact, and
Mm.
they may not socialize well with the other puppies.
Right, and that's I'm assuming because they've not had really any experience of socializing with other puppies?
Well, correct. I mean, they had their litter mates,
Yeah.
but they're all feeding on one another's fear.
Stress, yeah, fear and
Yes,
stress, yeah, and so
right,
they don't know healthy, like, spacious interaction.
right.
Right.
And
So
the puppy may be aggressive, and you and I both know that if you have a 4 to 6 month old puppy that's showing aggression, that is just not the normal nature of the
no.
beast. And
Yeah.
some dogs do become aggressive as they become adults, but to have a puppy that's aggressive towards people or other dogs, that's highly unusual. And
Yeah,
that might be what you get with a puppy purchased from a puppy mill.
yeah. And so I guess there's probably lots of people who either have, you've just described someone who's rescued a dog who was a
Yes.
breeding dog, right? And then there's probably people who have bought a got purchased a puppy,
For
maybe with their
thousands of dollars.
thousands, so much money, and not even either not known or not known like what the impact would be.
I choose to think that most people don't know because if they
Yeah,
knew,
yeah,
I think, or there's what we call cognitive dissonance. It's
yeah,
kind of
yes.
like when we buy our food, our meat at the grocery store,
Yeah,
our
I was just gonna
chicken.
say, when I
We
eat meat.
know how that chicken has suffered, but we
Yeah,
still choose to eat it. And I think that's really true. Do you have a lot of doodles in your country? Doodle
uh,
dogs,
yeah,
doodle
yeah,
mixes?
yeah,
So
they're around.
puppy millers are extremely opportunistic, and if they see a fad, and doodles are a fad in the United States, all kinds of doodles. Doodles are poodles mixed with other purebred dogs. Bernedoodles, golden doodles, labradoodles, Aussie doodles. And so the people may just have their heart set on this cute
And the
doodles. They're
breed, trend.
adorable,
Mhm.
adorable. And so they just want to get one. And responsible breeders don't create them.
Right.
They they don't mix their purebred dog that they revere. They revere a breed. They're not going to mix it up with another breed. So I think people do not know, or they kind of know, but they don't want to think about it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm imagining, the different experience that one of those dogs that would come home to these different families would have. Like there's again, that you've just described the person that you wrote about in your recent post who rescued a dog and knew what she was getting into and, knew
Yes,
that that's going to take loads of tiny, tiny baby steps and patience and care.
yes,
Like her approach was probably one that was like grounded in healing, right? And then there's people who maybe just don't know and they're like,
right.
"Oh, we've got a dog. We've got a golden doodle. Now let's put it into obedience classes." And
Yes,
I wonder, like, what those dogs will be experiencing when they're trying to like be,
yes,
fit into the mold of like, I've got the life, I've got the house, I've got the kids. Now I buy
right.
the dog, and I put the dog into training classes because I want to train my dog. And yeah,
I think the other thing for trainers, so people like yourself, is if you see a puppy who's just not really with it and it's you're not connecting with the puppy, don't forget about the possibility that there's an underlying physical disorder.
yeah,
A lot of congenital or birth abnormalities come with puppy mill dogs.
right, yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
Mhm.
and it's kind of the same in people, right? Like if like this, you know individuals or communities or populations of people who have experienced intergenerational trauma and would just like have a higher likelihood for disease, chronic illness, and that kind of thing. And I can see why that would be
Right.
the
Plus,
same for.
indiscriminate breeding. Uh, Breeding a first cousin dog to another first cousin dog in a puppy mill.
Okay.
Excuse me. So,
Oh,
it's a problem with the breeding program as well as the psychological distress.
right. Yeah. Okay. Um, so yeah, I guess there's like a tension probably that exists in the work that you do and the advocacy that you do, because I know that, um, I think I read one of your things somewhere that was like, every purchase not made, or like for a puppy mill to a puppy mill, like is like one step closer to eradicating it, right?
Right.
Um,
Every purchase denied a puppy mill brings us one step closer to their eradication.
right. Amazing. Perfect. And then it's kind of like on the other side of the coin is like, well, these dogs do exist. So how do you balance that tension? Like, what do we do? Like, I mean, I understand that there's the rescuing option, but maybe not every dog is in the chain of being rescued, right? So I don't
Right.
know how
Well,
we
from
could.
the veterinarian's point of view,
Mm,
and you know as probably as well as I do that most veterinarians don't delve deeply into behavioral issues. So
Mhm.
if I have a 4-month-old puppy that's growling at me, I'll say, "That's not at all normal. I want you to contact a trainer, someone a professional who can work with you on this behavior right away."
Yeah.
But from the physical health point of view, what we do is have a candid conversation with the owner. The dog may have a physical problem that's not fixable, or
Mm,
perhaps it can be surgically fixed. For example, let's say a puppy is flown in across the country, the people pick it up at the airport, and within 24 hours, they find out that the puppy's leaking urine. That
yeah.
is often something that can be surgically fixed to the tune of several $1,000s, or
Sure.
that the dog is in kidney failure because of congenital abnormalities to the kidneys. That's something we cannot fix.
Mm,
Either case, the new owner, the client, is devastated.
yeah.
And puppy mills always offer a replacement guarantee. And most people in that situation, once they understand that their puppy came from a puppy mill, there's no way they have the heart to put that dog back on the airplane and send it back to the puppy mill.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to it there? Plus, get another puppy from the same place.
Yeah.
So it's heartbreaking. It's devastating. It's a very difficult lesson for people to learn.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh god, the idea of like, you get a replacement guarantee is just so objectifying. Like they're
Mhm.
not like your newest iPhone. They're living, breathing beings. Like
Right.
what happens to the defect that you send back,
I
Like
know. And you know as well as I do that it takes probably no more than about 28 minutes for a person to fall madly in love with a puppy.
yeah, 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 definitely. At max
Yeah.
28 minutes. Um, yeah, okay. Well, thank you for like giving us this picture on what is actually going on here. And you have just published a book in September.
I did. Can
Yeah.
Before we go to that, can I add
Oh,
one more thing?
please,
How do
please.
you how do people avoid doing business with the puppy mill?
Yeah.
It is so, so, so simple.
Great. That's good.
So simple. Point 1, never buy a puppy from a pet store unless it's a pet store who's working with a shelter and they're having a adoption event.
Hmm.
Number 2 is never purchase a puppy online without going to visit the kennel, seeing it with your own 2 eyes, and meeting the mother of the dog,
Okay.
because puppy mills won't let you come visit. They
Okay.
won't let you meet the mother dog. They have way too much to hide. So those are 2 simple ways to avoid a puppy mill purchase. It's just that simple.
Okay. Okay. That's great. I'll make sure to include it in whatever publication about this
Thank
chat.
you.
That is really simple and really easy to follow
Yep,
advice.
yep,
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much
of
for
course.
that.
And now I'm happy to talk about my
Let's
book.
talk about your book. Can we talk about your book? Okay.
Sure.
So you've just published a book called A Dog Named 647,
Yes.
and it's kind of like a children's fiction.
Middle
Yeah,
grade, middle
middle
graders.
grade,
Do you say
middle
middle
grade.
grade?
What do we say? I say yeah, I say middle school, but I'm from Canada. What do they say here?
It's
It's like
ageless
preteen, right?
8, yeah, ages about 8 through 12.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, do you want to talk us a bit about the story of that and what that's
Yes,
about?
I'm happy to. So as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about puppy mills, and I've been so for a very long time. And I have been disillusioned with how my generation and your generation and the generations in between have handled this. In other words, we still have lots and lots of puppy mills. In the United States, there's estimated to be at least 10,000 puppy mills and producing millions of puppies every year. So I thought, do you know Greta Thunberg, the climate activist?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I, yeah, she made a big impression on me. And
Okay.
so I thought, why not take this puppy mill issue to kids?
Yeah.
Kids kids in the age group of 8 to 12 or 13 are just becoming aware of the world around them and the
Yeah.
social issues that exist. So I thought, I'm gonna write a book for kids. And
Yeah.
in the past, I've written my books have been nonfiction. So I tried to write a nonfiction book for middle schoolers,
Mhm.
and each try, looked at the book and said, "If I were that kid that age, I would never read this book."
Okay, sure.
So I said, "I'm gonna have to write fiction." So, I spent a few years learning the craft of fiction writing and produced a dog named 647, that revolves around a 12-year-old dog crazy protagonist whose single mom is terrified of dogs. So
Okay,
it
okay,
excludes the possibility of her having one. And she
okay.
has a chance encounter with a runaway pregnant golden retriever. And as the man comes and finds her and drags the dog away with the rope, Mia, who is the 12-year-old, becomes obsessed with finding her again. The look in the dog's
Yeah.
eyes as she was being dragged away, Mia can't forget it and feels like she needs to rescue this dog. She doesn't know the dog is from a puppy mill, but when she does her Nancy Drew research to try to figure out where the dog lives, she
Yeah.
discovers it's a puppy mill. And the rest of the story has to do with that. The story also has a lot to do with her friendship with her best friend, who's her co-conspirator in all of this. And
Wow.
I'm pleased to say the book is getting wonderful reviews.
Oh,
Sort of
good.
the creme de la creme of reviewers is Kirkus Book Reviews, and I just got my Kirkus review yesterday, and it was stellar. So,
Oh,
it's
oh,
selling very
congrats.
well. I'm very, very excited about it, and adults seem to love it too. They love
Yeah,
it. Uh-huh.
yeah. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I really love the idea of being like, okay, or like, trying to alchemize this disillusionment that you have where you're like, okay, my generation we didn't really get it. The adults were not really doing it right. And like maybe I need to kind of speak to the younger generation who are growing up in a world where like, climate chaos and ecological collapse are like, it's here, right?
Yes.
And our connection, our disconnection with the living, whether that's, the natural world, whether that's dogs, that is a thing that is part of this collapse. And like it's
Yes.
a lot for a younger, middle grade person to kind of get their head around. But
Right. Right.
I think being able to be like, okay, but what about dogs? What about our relationship with dogs? Because that's one of the things that we need to repair in all of this, and that is
Yes.
something that, you know, quite close to home for a lot of kids, even if they don't have dogs, I'm sure they, like, have dogs in their lives or in their communities, and so that's, like, something that can easily, hopefully, like, spark that connection, and
Yes.
I really
Yes.
love that this is a story about, like, I think I'm understanding it that there's, like, um the kids kind of organize or like campaign, right? Either against the puppy mill that this dog is from or puppy mills in general. And so I just love that. Uh, sorry, were you gonna?
No, it's not
Okay.
quite the plot, but
Oh,
I don't wanna spoiler alert, the kids try to rescue the 200 plus dogs from the puppy mill.
okay, okay, yes, liberate those puppies. That's
The
great.
breeding dogs, yes, liberate the breeding dogs,
Liberate the breeding dogs. Yeah, I
and
mean that's really radical. I really love that, and I
and
think.
find the dog 647, who
Mhm.
happens not to be in the puppy mill when they go into the puppy mill. So that's their objectives, and there's, themes of empathy, themes of friendship, themes of, single parenthood, themes
Yeah.
of anti-Semitism. So there's a lot more to the book besides just the puppy mills, but any kid who reads this book will come away understanding puppy mills.
That's amazing. That's really a really valuable contribution that you're making. I
Thank
really
you.
love it. Yeah, yeah. You've just spoken about different themes, and again, I haven't read the book, although I would really love to now. But I've got a quote from a review that I would like to kind of like just draw out a bit and talk to you a bit more about. And so we've got through Mia's eyes, readers are drawn into the grim reality of commercial breeding facilities, places where dogs are caged, mistreated, and stripped of their identities. Yet this novel isn't about cruelty, it's about resilience. And so I guess I just want to touch on this idea of resilience because
Mhm.
it's something I'm actually writing a piece about right now.
Okay.
And and I think when I think about the kind of cultural understanding of resilience, we've got a phrase that like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
And like that is something, we just started this conversation talking about like inherited trauma, and like the what a dog is going to go through if they've come from a puppy mill and the healing that's required, right? And while I understand that that message of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is meant to be empowering, I think in a way what it does is it defines us by our trauma, right? It's like I've
Right.
come from this horrific experience and I'm stronger because of it. And I'm actually interested in like a different understanding of resilience, and thinking about resilience as like the that's something that we cultivate through our friendships, through our connection to something bigger or purpose, or our like our advocacy, or through practices like art or dance or whatever it is that increases our ability to kind of like reharmonize.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and so I guess I just wonder, how like what is it that builds their resilience in your book, or what is it about your book
Sure.
touches this
Sure.
idea?
And
Yeah.
honestly, I wasn't sure if the reviewer was talking about resilience of the dogs or
Mm,
resilience of the kids. I mean, dogs are the epitome of resilient creatures, right? What happens when something kind of traumatic happens? What's the first thing they do? They shake it off, right?
let's
They
take it
do a
on.
full body shake
Yeah.
and shake it off.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, in terms of resilience of these puppy mill dogs, especially the adults, um, they're resilient in that they're alive.
Mm, yeah.
Um, and the recovery, the resilience recovery is extremely slow and may not reach the goalposts that we would like. In terms of the kids, the girls, um, especially Mia, uh, what did Kirkus just described her as something like pugnacious. Yeah, that she is just a go getter. You can't
Mm,
defeat her.
okay.
And so there are several moments in the book where it would be easier for her to say, I give up. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Such as when she's hopeless and helpless watching this man drag the dog away.
Like the dog away. Yeah.
Yes. And so she has no idea where the dog lives. She could have just said, oh, darn, that's terrible. But no, she was super resilient and said, I got to find this dog. And then
Yeah.
when she encounters the puppy mill, it would be very easy for her to give up. Everything says give up. You can't do this. And she and her friend support each other's resiliency in a very fun, sometimes comical way.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
so, and and spoiler alert, the book
Okay.
leaves you with the sense that Mia's going to go further with all this. She's going to tackle humane animal welfare issues again,
Right.
somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Definitely. Like I think it's exactly it, right? It's this idea that like the resilience isn't like because of all of the pain and suffering that either the dogs or the people are going through, but the resilience is cultivated. Just described like Mia. Um, she has that moment where she could be like, oh, that's too bad, but that's just how it is. But she's connected to something like a higher purpose or calling, or like something that she like really
Right,
feels passionate about, like her values are like being challenged, and she's like, no,
right.
or like, she's got this friendship with someone, and that is something that is like feeding her resilience, right? She's got this
Yes,
love of dogs and animals, and that's
right.
feeding her resilience. So yeah, definitely.
And so
I think
she
it's
doesn't immediately do a full body shake. She
uh-huh.
has to go, "Ugh, now what?" But she ultimately does shake it off and go forward.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
love my characters. I love them. I might have to pursue a series because I love them so much.
Okay, did you hear it here first, everyone? Okay, yeah. Well, where can people pick this book up? I'll make
Um,
sure to link it in the post about this, but
I assume I know Amazon is in Great Britain.
mhm,
I'm sure you can get it through Amazon. I don't know, do you have Barnes& and Noble?
we do not.
Okay, other online book retailers,
Okay, yeah.
and I would hope if your local bookstore doesn't have it, you can ask them to order it for you. I would really, really like that. I would
Oh,
also really like you to, if you have some extra money, purchase a copy for your local library or your kids' classroom. I would love that.
that's a great idea. Yeah. I think I love that, If you feel inspired by this conversation and you believe that we need to get the message out about puppy mills and what can be done about it, and how we can inspire people to care about it, then go to your local bookstore, go to your local library. It's like two small actions that we can all do and continue to kind of like spread the word. So yeah,
Yes. Thank
definitely.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's been so nice talking to you. I feel like I've
You
started with
too.
quite heavy on my heart topic, or like, content. And I feel like we've moved into like something that feels more hopeful. So I really enjoyed going on this journey with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Megan. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, great.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.